Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Anna Manuel. There are plenty of questions tonight as to why Anthony Alvarez is out as police chief of the Elmira Police Department. Big Fox's Josh Feldberg went out to try and get answers today.
A news release from Elmira City Manager Michael Collins simply says Anthony Alvarez is no longer with the Elmira Police Department. The news release reads, quote, Anthony Alvarez is no longer employed by the City of Elmira Police Department. Deputy Chief Chris Thorne has been appointed to the position of acting chief for the Elmira Police Department. No one from the city has answered the question of why the police chief is out of a job. I'm here at the Elmira City office building where nobody inside was willing to comment any further on the situation. Alvarez has served with the Elmira Police Department since February of 1996 and was appointed chief in June of 2021. Big Fox reached out to City Manager Collins, Mayor Mandel, and new Acting Chief Thorne, but no one got back to us about the former chief. Big Fox also contacted City Council members Nicholas Grosso and Joseph Duffy. Grosso had no comment on the change, and Councilman Duffy did not pick up. There are plenty of theories about why the chief has lost his job, but no official information has been released. This is a developing story, and Big Fox will continue to bring you updates on the former chief. Josh Feldberg, Big Fox News, Elmira.
John B. King Jr. has begun his term as the 15th Chancellor of the State University of New York System. Prior to his appointment as Chancellor, King was the 10th U.S. Secretary of Education, serving under former President Barack Obama. He was also president of the Education Trust, a national civil rights nonprofit. To find out more information about the newest SUNY Chancellor, you can visit suny.edu. Over 1,000 New Yorkers have died since the beginning of December from a reemergence of COVID. Our Maggie Hall has the story on this new highly infectious variant.
According to the Center for Disease Control, COVID cases and deaths are on an upwards trend. A new variant has entered the COVID arena, and it is not one to play around with.
What we are learning about this new variant, XBB 1.5, is that it spreads much more easily compared to the previous variants.
The CDC reports that while flu cases are declining in most areas, COVID cases are rising. So what makes XBB 1.5 so much more infectious than prior variants?
It is able to attach to the nose and the throat cells much more easily compared to the new variants. So it is able to infect more people and transmit more easily.
One way folks can protect themselves from XBB 1.5 is the COVID booster.
What we know from the previous variant cycles is that the COVID booster shot helps reduce the risk of severe pneumonia, reduces the risk of getting hospitalized, and reduce the risk of death.
XBB 1.5 doesn't cause for more severe symptoms. It just spreads faster and more easily. If you suspect you may have COVID, contact your primary healthcare provider immediately. Test and stay home. Stay healthy and well this new year. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Corning.
The World Health Organization is urging passengers to wear masks on long flights as COVID cases spike in some countries. The United Nations Health Agency says the surge in COVID-19 cases linked to the Omicron variant across the U.S. is a growing concern. WHO officials are now recommending passengers wear masks in certain places as a precautionary measure. China is battling a nationwide outbreak of COVID-19 after abruptly easing restrictions, prompting more than a dozen countries to impose new testing requirements for travelers departing from China. The city of Hornell announced the 11th house built by Greater Southern Tier BOCES students has been completed. The 3-bedroom home is located on Preston Avenue at the site of a fire that destroyed multiple homes 3 years ago. Bids for the home have begun through the city clerk's office. The bidding period will end February 13th. Construction on the city's 12th house is already underway. Doctors cleared Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin to start on the next stage of his recovery. Laura Engel has more on the 24-year-old's condition following that terrifying collapse on the football field last week.
Dr. Pritz and I are thrilled and proud on behalf of UC to report to you that Damar Hamlin has been released and returned to Buffalo.
A collective sigh of relief from the NFL community. Bills safety Damar Hamlin is back in Buffalo exactly 1 week after suffering cardiac arrest in front of millions watching the Bills play the Cincinnati Bengals at Paycor Stadium.
He appears to be neurologically completely intact, and there's no reason to believe that he won't continue his path to recovery.
Hamlin was discharged from the University of Cincinnati Medical Center Monday morning. According to his doctors, he is doing well and ready to begin the next stage of his recovery at a hospital in Buffalo. His release comes just days after a breathing tube was removed and Hamlin started walking around on his own. Doctors say he was even jumping around while watching the Bills take on the New England Patriots Sunday.
When the opening kickoff was run back, he jumped up and down, got out of his chair, set, I think, every alarm off in the ICU in the process, but he was fine.
Hours after his release, Hamlin tweeted a message of thanks to his medical team and revealed he is happy to be back in New York. A message he repeated to Bills head coach Sean McDermott during a meeting Monday afternoon.
He's just tired but he's seems happy and happy to be back in Buffalo.
Doctors also reveal Hamlin will be undergoing extensive testing in the coming weeks to figure out what led to his collapse on the field. In New York, Laura Ingle, Fox News.
Thousands of nurses from two of New York City's largest hospitals taking to the streets to strike for a second day today. The nurses from Mount Sinai and Montefiore Medical Center are striking for better working conditions and more adequate staffing. The union said after bargaining late into the night at Montefiore and Mount Sinai Hospital on Sunday, no tentative agreements were reached.
The patients are not getting the care that they deserve. We're not able to do the work that we all became a nurse to do. And so they're selling us out like we're greedy. The reason why there's a real conversation about money is two reasons. The hospital administration, that's what they talk, money. And in order to keep staff, it's one of the things that keeps people working.
The U.S. Department of Education is seeking to reduce federal student loan payment costs with its proposed new regulations. The regulations coincide with President Joe Biden's announcement in August to provide debt relief for about 40 million borrowers and hope to make the student loan system easier to manage. The proposal includes amending the revised pay-as-you-earn plan and cuts monthly loan payments in half for undergraduates. The DOE says a typical graduate of a four-year public university would save roughly $2,000 a year under the proposal. Your complete forecast is straight ahead, plus this.
The world's glaciers are vanishing faster than scientists originally thought. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at the data, plus one pilot's mission to photograph them before it's all too late. That's straight ahead.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Well, over the last week, we've been bringing in some big changes across portions of New York, especially when we started off the month with those well above average temperatures, even climbing well into those 50s, bringing temperatures nearly 20 to 25 degrees above average. Now, over the weekend, we did bring in some slight cooling, still kept temperatures upwards of 5 degrees above average, and that's where we're going to continue to remain here as we step through this week with small ups and downs when it comes to this temperature trend. What we are seeing in place is that there was some areas of sunshine, but we are noting that the overcast skies have been moving in, as we are noting that a west-northwesterly wind is going to tap into the region and keep temperatures slightly cooler, especially with the lack of sunshine limiting some of the warming that will be in store as we head into that Tuesday forecast. So we'll note that Tuesday we'll start off with those temperatures just around that freezing mark. Again, still well above average. We really haven't seen those teens for low temperatures really at all in these overall forecast. Some of those cooler, clear mornings, but for the most part, this is still a pretty mild forecast. Now we will stay underneath be some seasonal conditions as we start off into the 30s. We are expected to stay just around those mid-30s into the afternoon, as again, those cloudier skies will limit that warming. Now, we'll stay underneath those quiet and cloudy skies at least through Wednesday, but we will be keeping our eye on our next system as it will be looking to intensify as it works its way up the northeast, which is going to bring some potential wintry mix at onset. However, temperatures are looking mild enough that we are going to stay strictly some rain showers at onset and could potentially bring in some light snow showers behind this system. But now looking at any Arctic air to really fill in, continuing and going to see temperatures at or above average. So as we roll into that Tuesday forecast, again, overcast skies hold on. So with the temperature starting off at a 31 into the morning, you only climbed about 36 degrees, and that's just with sunlight at least within the atmosphere, but not with much of that breaking through the cloud cover. We won't see much of that significant warming. And on top of that, we also have light winds. Now the winds are going to continue to come out of the west-northwest, so any stronger wind out of the west-northwest would have given us more cooling. So for the most part, though hitting 36 degrees, that's where we should be this time of the year when it comes to averages. That holds to about 34. So across the region, we all stay underneath those cloudy skies with temperatures just around those mid-30s. Into our Wednesday forecast, we will be underneath maybe an area of some sunshine or two, but you'll note that we will get back into a southwesterly wind ahead of this low pressure system, which is going to give us a chance to see those 40s in place. There might be some weak precipitation that develops along a warm front, but for the most part, we'll be keeping an eye on the actual arrival of that low pressure system as we head into our Thursday forecast, where we'll continue to warm back up into those mid-40s. We'll put wintry mix there because at onset there could be some, but with temperatures mid-30s to those upper 40s, or low 40s, excuse me, mostly rainfall expected from that. Backside of that system could maybe shake out a few snow showers possible, a little cooling in that forecast, but overall still staying near seasonal for this time of the year with more warming expected into next week.
The world's glaciers are disappearing. Their melt is helping to fuel rising sea levels and increasing the risk for floods. Jackie Ibanez takes a look at these vanishing beauties, plus one pilot's journey to photograph them before it's too late.
Beautiful and captivating, the world's glaciers are a sight to behold. But a new study published in the journal Science reveals these natural wonders are disappearing faster than researchers originally thought, with scientists now estimating 2/3 of the Earth's glaciers will vanish by the end of the century.
They're being lost in response to climate change.
The data applies to 215,000 land-based glaciers.
What we found was that a lot of the small glaciers, they're simply not large enough, and they're in locations that do not allow them to survive these increases in temperature.
But while climate activists call for industrialized nations to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to help curb spiking temperatures, New York native Garrett Fisher is on a mission to photograph these stunning masses of ice so future generations can see what was destroyed.
I use old, small aircraft to fly to all of the remaining glaciers that are not in the polar regions.
Using a restored single-engine plane from 1965, Fisher is able to get up close and personal to each glacier.
Photographing with old aircraft that fly slowly and intimately allows a view that is almost questionably to the viewer, may not even appear aerial. It's very personal and relatable as a human.
When it comes to Fisher's mission, while his plane is powered by gas, he says he offsets his carbon footprint by driving a hybrid car and powering his home with hydraulic energy.
Dips in small business optimism and used car prices. AT&T says farewell to 411 and a vacation spot in the sky. CJ Papa has today's business briefs.
Small business owners feeling less optimistic about the economy in December. The National Federation of Independent Businesses Optimism Index declined last month to the lowest level since June of last year to 89.8. Those surveyed were concerned about the economy, rising prices, and hiring difficulties. Used car prices falling nearly 15% year over year last month, pulling back from the auto market's COVID pandemic highs. Experts say the cost could fall even further as global supply chain issues are resolved. It seems like a simple luxury in life. Dial 411 if you need directory assistance, get a phone number or an address. But for AT&T customers, it's available no more. Starting this month, anyone with a wireless or digital landline will not be able to dial 411 or 0 to reach an operator to get assistance. Instead, the company recommends customers find information online. And this room with a view in Peru is for thrill seekers. You can rent a pod at the Sky Lodge Adventure Suites for $450 a night on Airbnb. The pods are hanging off the side of a mountain more than 1,300 feet in the air. In order to get your room, you're going to have to either climb or zip line. Don't worry, though. Each room comes with climbing gear. That's business. I'm CJ Papa.
Still ahead, new guidelines suggest treating childhood obesity early. Why health experts now say watchful waiting could do more harm than good. There are some new guidelines on how childhood obesity is addressed. The guidelines now say early treatment is beneficial and that watchful waiting could do more harm than good. Teresa Priolo has more.
It's the biggest change in the way the medical community views and treats childhood obesity in the last 15 years. The American Academy of Pediatrics telling parents and pediatricians to ditch the watchful waiting approach.
Obesity is associated with a number of very significant comorbid illnesses like high blood pressure, kidney disease, liver disease. As time goes on, these comorbid conditions become worse and more severe and cumulative. So the paradigm for watchful waiting, while it's tempting, it really is a bad idea.
For children and teens, obesity is defined as having a body mass index at or above the 95th percentile, meaning these kids are heavier than 95% of kids their age. That amounts to roughly 20% of children, or 15 million kids. The new guidance recommends acting fast with lifestyle and diet changes, medication, and even surgery.
When we look at surgical intervention, it actually results in not only a significant amount of weight loss, but a durable amount of weight loss.
The one problem, the new guidance puts much of the burden on your pediatrician. As it is, they're already pressed for time and overworked. Dr. Diane Hess is a pediatric obesity specialist.
If you read the studies, the successful programs required 26 hours of face-to-face counseling between a physician or a counselor with the parents and the child. I don't know many people who have 26 hours to do that.
In Dr. Hess's experience, much of the obesity she sees is rooted in other issues. Classifying it as a disease helps chip away at the problem.
We had to fight to get obesity classified as a disease because obesity has been considered a personal choice and a shameful choice. And we know that it's not. It's that it has to do with genetics, and it has to do with lifestyle, and it has to do with socioeconomic status.
A new study says artificial intelligence can determine how fast the brain ages. Researchers from the University of Southern California used the program to detect if the brain was older than the body, which is a sign for risk of neurological diseases. The AI could indicate early signs of Alzheimer's and other diseases more accurately than current medical tests can. The study also found that certain parts of the brain aged differently between men and women. For men, the section controlling their motor functions ages quicker, and for women, their brain's right hemisphere, which controls attention and memory, ages more slowly. You've probably noticed it at the grocery store, and farmers and shoppers are talking a lot about the rising price of eggs. Stephanie Bennett has the story.
We've adjusted our diet and our meals somewhat.
Egg consumption has grown over the years as many people are eating them as their main protein source. But the production has slumped because of the ongoing bird or avian flu epidemic. Glenn Hickman says their farms in Arizona are doing okay, but others aren't so lucky.
We've been fairly lucky here in Arizona. We did lose an organic flock at our Colorado facility.
Over the last year, the USDA says nearly 58 million birds have been infected in the U.S., making it the deadliest outbreak in U.S. history. Unfortunately, the infected birds have to be killed, causing the egg supplies to fall and prices to surge. In some cases, stores are running out and limiting the amount people can buy.
We bought eggs earlier this week here at Fry's in Levine. We paid $8.99 for a dozen eggs, and so we've definitely scaled back how many eggs we're consuming. But it definitely hits us in the pocketbook.
Although the price may be frustrating, Hickman says the eggs are still great quality.
The egg supply is out there, that the egg supply is very, very safe. There's no There's no transmission of avian flu to people or anything like that. So it's just a kind of a fluke that this happened about 7 years ago, and it seems like it's come back with a vengeance this time.
Stay with us. We'll have more after the break. We want to leave you with a smile. Doritos fans, you can star in their Super Bowl ad. The sweet and tangy barbecue chip is Frito-Lay's newest creation, and the company wants to show it off in their 23rd annual Super Bowl ad, but not without inviting fans to join the fun. You can share your best triangle-inspired dance on TikTok before January 13th for a chance to be part of the entertainment. I'm Scott Beadle. Thank you so much for watching.